Welcome back to Dragalia Foundry, a fan channel where everything Dragalia Lost can be found. In today's video, I'll be breaking down everything we know about Dragalia Lost's characters so far from a mechanical perspective. First though, some news. Dragalia Lost hit its pre-registration goal of 500,000 players this week, so everyone will be receiving 1,500 Wormite at launch, which the game's official Twitter account did confirm is enough for 10 summons. In addition, Nintendo released an epic new story trailer for Dragalia Lost on its mobile channel. This week I'm talking mostly gameplay, but expect more on story closer to launch. Today's video is specifically focused on playable characters, so I won't be discussing Not, Zethia, or the Alberian royal family this time, since all of them appear to be NPCs at this point. Playable characters, or adventurers, are an essential part of Dragalia Lost. Players form teams of 4 adventurers in order to battle through missions and earn experience points, rupees, mana, and other spoils. One of the main tabs in Dragalia Lost is called Teams, and by default, it looks like up to 6 teams can be saved at any given time. Adventurers on teams can be decked out with worm prints, weapons, and dragons to strengthen them in battle. For the most part, it looks like adventurers will be obtained via summoning. Despite this, I do think a few adventurers will be recruited as part of the game's story, based on how prominently they've been shown in marketing and trailers so far. These include Elisan, Ronzal, Cleo, Luca, and of course, the game's protagonist. Interestingly, the game's protagonist, the 7th in line to the Alberian throne, has so far been referred to as the Prince in official materials. It looks like you'll be able to name the protagonist, but his official name is Udiel or Udin, going off website file names and footage from the Direct. Every adventurer has a unit type, an element, and a weapon type. Let's use Udin as an example. Udin is an attack roll, flame element, sword wielder. I expect these attributes are permanent to each adventurer, while dragons, worm prints, and weapons can be changed freely. Notably, dragons can have a different element than the adventurer they're linked to. There are 4 unit types overall: attack, defense, support, and healer. I doubt it's a coincidence that the story characters Udin, Elisan, Ronzal, and Cleo fit each of these roles, respectively. Next, there are 5 elements: flame, wind, water, light, and shadow. Each element is strong against and weak against one other element, very much like Fire Emblem. The starting heroes even include a water lance unit, a wind axe wielder, and a flame swordsman, so fans of Fire Emblem heroes should be right at home. Red beats green, green beats blue, blue beats red. Lastly, there are 8 weapon types: sword, blade, dagger, axe, lance, bow, wand, and staff. I suspect these will mostly dictate each adventurer's basic attack combos, and of course, they'll limit what class of weapons can be equipped to each unit. Adventurers themselves have 3 primary stats: HP, strength, and might. So what's the difference between strength and might? Well, the Japanese term for might is senryoku, which roughly translates to fighting power or full force. It appears that might indicates an adventurer's overall power. Since might is much higher than strength in general, perhaps strength reflects damage per hit instead. Senryoku or might is also used to refer to aggregate team power. In English, the word fight is used on the multiplayer screen for each individual character's power, which sums to the team might total in the top right corner. It looks like translation might not be finished though, because a few still images from the English Direct actually show the Japanese term senryoku still being used. In fact, there's another thing that seems odd or unfinished about might. On worm prints, HP and strength always add up to the might value, but on characters and weapons, at least so far, might is set to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the promote and upgrade screens respectively. It looks like this may just be a placeholder number, and perhaps might will simply be the sum of HP and strength in the end. In any case, it seems like might is intended to be a 1-number indicator of power. Story missions suggest power levels using the team might scale to indicate their difficulty, and that's it for adventurer stats. In addition to these stats, which can be boosted by equipment and grow with level, adventurers can also be enhanced directly in 3 ways: upgrade, promote, and mana circle. Upgrading an adventurer raises its level using a resource called bronze crystals in the case of Udin. I believe different types of crystals will be used, but this is all I've seen so far. Of course, adventurers will level up normally by gaining experience during game missions. We can also see a bronze crystal being obtained as loot during a mission in the same screenshot. Next, Promoting an adventurer uses a resource called Eldwater to raise that character's rarity in a process called kindling. We see in the direct 2500 Eldwater is needed to promote from 3-star to 4-star. Star rarities on adventurers range from 3 to 5, with rarity affecting overall stats and max level. 3-star characters have a max level of 60, while 4-star characters have a max level of 70, suggesting 5-star characters will probably have a max level of 80. Nintendo has posted one screenshot with a level 80 Udin, so that provides a floor at a minimum. Doubles of summoned adventurers grant Eldwater, and it may be obtainable in other ways. The fact that this takes place raises another point, however. Since doubles are automatically dismissed for Eldwater, it's likely that each adventurer will only be summonable at one specific rarity. Otherwise, how would the game determine which version a player wanted to keep? This would complicate older low rarity characters being distributed at a higher rarity on future summon showcases though. So how it exactly works remains to be seen. Finally, the third way to enhance adventurers are mana circles, which are basically unlock trees unique to each character. The number of usable nodes on the mana circle also scales with the character's rarity. For instance, 30 for 3-star units and 40 for 4-star units. Mana obtained during missions can be spent to activate nodes, which boost stats, battle skills, and passive abilities. Notice that only buffs to HP and strength are shown, lending credence to the idea that might is just the sum of the two. The fact that upgrade ability and upgrade skill are referenced on the mana circle also implies that abilities aren't just tied to worm prints and skills aren't just tied to weapons. Adventurers will have some unique skills and abilities themselves which can also be enhanced, either exclusively through the mana circle or some other method as well. We see Udin using Blazing Circlet and Exalted Fire in the direct, which certainly sound like unique moves, and Xander's Spotlight in the Summon Showcase mentions Royal Maelstrom. But besides that, something called co-abilities also appear in the direct. On the Teams tab, these appear to be passive buffs that individual adventurers apply to their entire team. We actually see co-abilities in action in a few screenshots of multiplayer from the direct. Examples include Dragon Haste plus 5%, Recovery Potency plus 5%, and Skill Damage plus 5%. And so far, outside of the team menu, we've only seen co-abilities appear on multiplayer missions. Maybe these are exclusive to multiplayer. It seems unlikely, but that could be a way to encourage co-op and spending multi-points. And by the way, it does look like multi-points are used to create rooms in co-op after all. In any case, those are all of the details I have on adventurers, their stats and types, and how to enhance them. But how many have we seen so far? Well, check out the recent character slideshow I made to show off all 50 from the recent direct. With this channel just getting started, I just want to say how valuable your comments and feedback are. Did I miss anything in this video? Is there specific content you want to see once the game launches? I'd love your input. Thank you as always, and see you next time.